Just pulling up the list here real quick, guys. If you guys are watching this a little bit later on, I'm just pulling up some films. Oops. Pull the right genre up here. There we go. Okay, okay. I'm just gonna wait for some people to get here. So, we got 2 people here. How we doing, guys? How we doing? Just getting this list pulled up here of some horror films from the 2010s. Hey, what's up, Eric? How you doing? Ty, how you doing? Am I coming through loud and clear? Can you guys hear me and see me? Just asking that, just so that you guys can point that out, so that you guys can actually, hear me and everything like that. Make sure everything's going good. Tonight we're gonna be discussing some newer horror films. Talk about the new stuff. I've figured we've done so many streams discussing old school horror. Might as well shine a light on the new stuff. I mean, why not? Some Rocky Legends, the video game. I've heard of that video game. Was it good? What's going on? Nothing much, man. Just chilling. Just chilling. What you guys been doing? What you guys been up to? So there's the list. I think that's a good enough list right there. All right, thanks, man. Yeah, tonight's stream is going to be definitely a little bit more different. Like I said, we discussed more of. Oh, you did a video on Brain Scan earlier. Really interesting. That's the one with Edward Furlong, right? I've heard about that movie. I haven't seen it though. On the fighting game, he won't be going down because I want to go for the knockout. Nice. That's like a game. That's a GameCube game, right, Ty? GameCube or PS2? I can't remember. Either or. I think it's on both. Brain Scan has Edward Furlong though, right? I've heard of that movie. I've never watched it though. How was it? Was it good? Was it good? Did you like it, man? As far as everything goes on here, we'll be discussing some popular horror films. Well, I mean, popular, unpopular, just in general, talking about newer horror films tonight, guys. So, if you guys want to, you guys can throw out some suggestions. I'll give you my thoughts on them, and then I guess we'll just kind of go on from there. This is a stream that I want to be more oriented for the audience. I want you guys to be really involved with it, because I feel like when I do my franchise videos, there's not a lot of I can't. There's a lot of time where I'm just talking about movies and stuff like that, but I can't really read the comments all the time. So this one's more about reading the comments and being basically an interactive stream. Furlong is in it. He sucks, but the movie can be fun, interesting. That's pretty much the same reaction that Pet Cemetery 2 gets. People say that Edward Furlong is the worst part about it, but everything else is decent. So it's kind of weird how in Terminator 2 he played that character and did it pretty well, and then after that it's kind of he was also in this movie called The Crow, Wicked Prayer. Have you ever seen it, man? It's a pretty fucking bad movie. I'll just tell you that right now. It's pretty bad. And that's coming from a guy who actually likes the Crow sequels. It's a pretty bad movie. I actually like the sequels. Like the Crow City of Angels, I think is underrated, and I enjoy it. Um, is it? Are they as good as the original Crow? No, they'll never be. Should they have been made? No, because I feel like it's disrespectful, and I don't like the fact that they got sequels. But if you watch the movies for what they are, I actually found 2 and 3 quite entertaining. Oh, you have all 4 Crow movies. You like part 3? Yeah, I will agree. City of Angels is pretty good. 3 is in that same level where I feel it's pretty good. I don't know which one's better. They're both good movies to me. Um, and then 4 Wicked Prayer is just awful. It's just terrible. It's terrible, man. And he was awful in that movie too. His acting was just through just he looked like an emo goth chick more than anything in that movie, Edward Furlong. And his acting was horrible. He had this like false, phony Southern accent. It was terrible. And they actually got Dennis Hopper in there. Of all people, they got Dennis Hopper in that movie. And well, if you've seen the movie, you pretty you know how he was awful in American History X as well. Have you seen Night of the Demons the remake? I haven't seen American History X, but I heard he was bad in that movie too. He's pretty much bad in every movie after Terminator 2. Oh, Ty says, let's pull it up. My favorite newer horror film might be The Quiet Place because it took note from what Alfred Hitchcock, CCB DeMille, and I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. All the great silent directors never forgot movies were once silent. I can agree to that. Have you ever seen those 20s horror films from like Nosferatu and Phantom of the Opera? Those are fantastic. They're silent. I love those movies. They're fantastic. So, well, Hopper has done his fair share of crap too. Hopper has an interesting career. I mean, rest in peace. Hopper is a great is a great how am I gonna put this? He's a great actor. He's a legendary person, and I feel like he's been in plenty of wonderful projects. But he's an actor that has like a really wide range of films. Like he was in Land of the Dead, Texas Massacre Part 2. He was in I can't remember what it was called. That early 70s biker movie. I shouldn't forget the name, but for some reason I did, and I can't remember it. He was in that. He was in Crow 4. He was in plenty of movies, man. I mean, he's just had one of those careers where his acting ability kind of went in all kinds of film. Oh, so he's great in American History X, and that Demons Rig was fun. Oh, well, I haven't heard much from that movie, so I'll have to see it one day. I didn't see that. I know that Edward Norton's in it too. Easy Rider, that's what it's called. Easy Rider. Thank you, Eric. Charlie Sheen as Tommy Jarvis. Charlie Sheen nowadays as Tommy Jarvis? I don't know. Charlie Sheen's kind of crazy now. I mean, if you guys seen interviews with him, he's pretty crazy now. He's pretty out there. He's pretty woo. He's out there. I mean, look, Charlie Sheen, I have a lot of respect for. Great actor. Seen Platoon like 4 months ago, and I absolutely love the movie. And one day, I want to see The Wraith. And actually, if you think about it, Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen, they're brothers, right? They both have those one movies that everybody hates and doesn't talk about. Charlie Sheen's is The Wraith, and Emilio Estevez movie is Maximum Overdrive. And I have not seen either one, but the main consensus from most people is that The Wraith sucks and that Maximum Overdrive sucks. So I don't know. I haven't seen them. That's just what I've heard. So I certainly hope not. I certainly hope that they don't suck. But I know that Maximum Overdrive has a lot of fans, actually, like a cult following, and a lot of that stuff that is it's about interests me because like it's got an ACDC soundtrack. Stephen King was involved. The usage of practical effects, like all that stuff, really intrigued me. Ty says he has seen silent horror films, or seen the ones I talked about. Yeah, I think the wonderful thing about silent horror films is that they can focus more on the acting and the camera work and the performances and all of that good stuff. That's the good thing about when they do that is they can really focus heavy on that stuff, and it's very different. Like I don't know if you guys have been watching them or not. Like I know some of you guys have been watching them, but I've been reviewing the Universal monster movies, and I gotta say, man, I gotta say that the old school monster movies are classic, absolutely classic, and that's one of the good things about them is that they're simple, they're basic, they're fast paced, they're creative, um, they're influential, and they're masterpieces, man. Most of them. I wouldn't call them. I mean, look, Karloff in the Mummy was good. Karloff in the Mummy was good. But the Mummy itself, I was just thinking it was a decent film. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but Karloff and Edward Van Sloan, I thought were great in that movie. But Tommy Jarvis is kind of a crazy come. Tommy Jarvis is kind of crazy. Come on, imagine a crazy badass Tommy Jarvis by Jarvis. You know what? I actually wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. Although they have to explain like why because Charlie Sheen doesn't really look like Tommy Jarvis if you think about it. I mean, even if you dyed his hair brown, it looks nothing like Tommy. So like, I don't know how they pull it off. Heavy makeup, like real heavy makeup, I guess. Because like if they actually just used Charlie Sheen and used his actual look in the movie, I'd be like, he doesn't really look like Tommy a lot. But hey, now I do want to see. I do want to see. Oh, Alaska Super is here. How you doing, man? How are you doing? So I haven't come to these videos, but I did watch them. Hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Fan of the Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Wolfman. Yeah, they're all great so far. I haven't ran into one bad one. The Wolfman being my favorite of the three. Dude, Wolfman surprised me. Like I was going into it thinking, yeah, it's gonna be a good movie because I seen the Mummy and I was kind of like, it's gonna be an okay movie. No, dude, the Wolfman blew me away. The Wolfman was fantastic. Yeah, I agree. Long Chaney Jr. is fantastic, man. He did amazing in that movie. The movie blew me away. It was a fantastic horror film. And it's way better than the 2010 remake. Way, way, way better. Way better. And I've seen that movie. I've seen the remake of The Wolfman like 2 times. Once when it first came out, and I got it at Redbox and I watched it, and then once when I had it on DVD, and I just never. It's like The Thing from 2011. I've never watched that movie more than twice. Like I said, once when it came out at Redbox, and once when I bought it on DVD, and I've never. As a matter of fact, that Thing prequel movie has dust all over it. Like DVD is just coated in dust because I don't ever take it off the shelf. It's just always I did never watch it. And people have always asked me like, well, why do you collect bad movies? Why are bad movies in your collection? Um, I do that because it bothers me to not have the full set. If that makes any sense. Like it really sticks out like a sore thumb to me if I don't have the full collection, and I would rather have the full collection because it just bothers me. But and also because if I have a bad movie in my collection, just know I didn't pay over $5 for it. I'll see it for $2, $1 in a bargain bin or at this DVD stores and anything like that. I see it for that low of a price, then I'll pick it up. Like the Poltergeist remake cost $3, and I was like, all right, that's under my $5 limit. If it's under $5, I'll pick it up. You know. Um, really like the Mummy 2. It's nice and gothic feel. It's got a nice gothic feel to it. Yeah, the Mummy was pretty decent. The Mummy was decent. The opening scene, yeah, I love the opening scene for that movie. I think Lon Chaney Sr. is probably the best for acting. Dude, yeah, dude. Lon Chaney Sr. is amazing. Amazing. Roger Moore did not like Sean Connery. I heard about that. I heard about. Believe it or not, Ty, I've only seen one 007 movie, and that's GoldenEye. And I watched it, but I kind of was in and out of the movie. I don't know if that's just me or not. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying that it was the one 007 movie I had, and I had a lot of them back in the day. I had VHS tapes of Goldfinger, Doctor No, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World's Not Enough. I had all that stuff. And for some reason, GoldenEye, which is one of the best ones, I was kind of in and out with. I don't know. I have to rewatch it again, but I heard about that. Devin, what's up, man? How you doing? Talking about some newer horror films pretty soon. We're just talking a little bit right now, getting into the stream and everything. But pretty soon we'll be discussing some newer horror films. If you want to throw out any titles that you want to talk about, if you want to talk about any particular parts of the 2010s, just let me know. Just let me know. Oh, we got JG Dark here. Hey, don't mind me just in the chat to say hi. What's up, JG? How you doing? Are you gonna be streaming tomorrow or tonight? If you are, I'll be there. I'll try to make it to the streams. If tonight, if I make it there, it'll probably be a little bit later on in the stream. But if tomorrow, I'll try my best to make it. Because tomorrow I'm gonna be doing a show, but it'll be I think earlier in the day, like maybe 6:30, 6 o'clock. I'm shooting for 6 o'clock because I kind of want to watch your show, and I have other things I want to do later on in the night. So, um, I'm shooting for maybe a 6 o'clock show. Finally saw Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera last October. Did you like it? I loved Phantom of the Opera. I loved it. Loved it a lot. I got introduced to Chaney G before senior. Yeah, a lot of people do because The Wolfman is a really famous movie, and you got to be able to get into that silent era. I mean, the silent era is particular taste in horror, and and also they're kind of hard to find. I mean, you don't really find Phantom of the Opera just anywhere, So, but Wolfman I've seen in plenty of places. So yeah, they're both great though. They're both wonderful actors. All right, so it'll be around 11 or 12 tomorrow. Great, that's awesome. I'll be there, man. I'll be there, or at least try my best to be there. If I end up being a little bit late, I apologize for that, but I'll try my best to be there for sure. Yeah, it was great. All right, guys. So we're gonna be getting into the stream. I'm pretty sure more people are gonna be coming into the stream as we get along with the stream, and I still like stream 5 times. Sorry about that, but when we get more into the show, I'm pretty sure more people will join up and say hello and talk about some newer horror films. Talk about newer horror films is very controversial because a lot of them get a lot of hate. To be honest, even the ones that get praise, it's weird because you have on one hand the mainstream horror movies that a lot of people don't like, and I really want to say that I want to love new horror, like I want to love mainstream horror, but mainstream horror, which we talk about tonight, has a lot of issues, and sadly, very few and far between mainstream horror movies come out anymore. But to me, the indie scene is where it's really at. And even people who do like the indie movies, there's still not a lot of fans of the indie movies that come out because people don't like the way they're done. They're too pretentious. Um, but I understand its opinions, but it's like it's an interesting conversation with newer horror because you have mainstream and you have indie, and indie and mainstream both have their fans and they both have their non-fans. So tonight will be interesting because we're going to be going over mainstream and non-mainstream, so that you guys have heard about and maybe something you guys haven't heard about. So that'd be cool. Still can't believe it. Through 132 subscribers, my videos are. That's cool, man. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you, dude. Yeah, yeah. My channel is the same way, dude. The last month, I gained like 40 something subs. It's incredible, man. It's like, and I think it's because YouTube's getting the videos out there. It's a good thing because horror content has always been hard to get out there to the masses. It's always been, ever since the beginning. And I've been on here for a while. I've been on here since 2013, and it's always been hard to get horror videos out there because they're not particularly PG. And in my reviews, I'm honest and blunt about things, and I talk the way I want to. And back then, it really wasn't. It wasn't really like put out there and stuff like that. But luckily nowadays, YouTube is starting to get um, movie reviewer channels and smaller independent channels and stuff like what I do and other people do. That they're trying to get it out there. So I really appreciate that. But congratulations, man. It's a more thrill than a horror movie. But The Gift is easily one of the creepiest movies of 2010s. The Gift. The Gift. I haven't seen that, but I've seen the poster for it. Well, I'll check it out. I can't think of any new horror that I'm looking forward to right now. To be honest, I don't think I can either, if I really think about it. Mine's more of other genres. I don't really look forward to any horror movies right now. Ty says, my favorite silent horror movie is by D.W. Griffith, The Sorrows of Satan. It's based on Faust. Now, Faust was made by F.W. Murnau, right? I believe it was. So it was based off of that. Interesting. And Faust is a movie that came out in the 20s, or maybe even before that. Maybe late 20s, but maybe even before. I don't really know. But to get into mainstream horror and talk about mainstream horror for a little bit, this stuff that comes in the theaters, gets wide releases. This is stuff that gets into a lot of theaters and pretty much stuff that you'll see, without having to really look for it. I mean, you'll see the trailers everywhere for it. And these are your Conjurings, your Insidiouses, your January, August releases, your July movies. Really bad times for horror. I mean, yeah, July and August for regular movies isn't really that bad of a time. But for some reason, those are the big 3 months right there. It's July, August, and January. Those are 3 months that the snoozer horror films come out. And we'll be getting into. Now, I will say this. If you're a fan of mainstream, like the mainstream style of horror right now, that's totally fine. I totally respect that. And I have a lot of respect for your opinion. And that's totally awesome. But to get into mainstream horror, it's got a lot of problems. JG says, I'm still surprised to have as many subs as I have. It's still crazy to me. Dude, you built such a good following, man, and it was so cool finding your channel. Actually, I found your channel a while ago when I looked up the Roy is Jason's father theory, and I seen your video on it, and then later on, I seen another video you did, and I subscribed. And then after that, I seen that you were live. I was like, hey, he's watching. What were you watching? Were you watching Leprechaun? I don't remember if it was Leprechaun or I can't remember. Sorry, man. You were doing a commentary on a movie, and I joined in and just been watching ever since, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Your channel will grow. Just keep having fun. Yeah, that's the point, man. That's the point. That's what you do. Yeah, that's the fun part about it, man. Is when you join YouTube, you're not in this community. I mean, I don't really join it for fame and money and stuff like that. I'm just here having fun, talking movies, hanging out with y'all, and having fun. There are good horror movies from 2010, but the problems that started seeping into the genre 2000s worse than the 2010s. Eric subscribed to JG. Thank you so much, Eric. Yeah, you'll love his channel, dude. He does streams, some of the best horror streams out there. Not exaggerate. They're fun as hell, and I really love them, and I stay engaged and in tune with them for like a long time, and I watch them, and he does commentaries, theory videos, which are really, really fun. A lot of great stuff from JG. So yeah, everybody out there, if you haven't subscribed to JG yet, JG is an amazing YouTuber. Everybody here is amazing. So y'all can all subscribe to each other if you want. D.W. Griffith and F.W. Murnau both made a version of Foss Foss as a book about a guy who's possessed by the devil. Interesting. Eric says, okay, man, I got split. Keep up the great work. Thanks, man. Thanks so much for talking about the stream, man. It's been fun. I'll be seeing you later, bro. But mainstream horror, I think it's got its gems. Like, It Chapter 1, and I haven't seen Chapter 2 yet. It Chapter 1 is an example of a movie that when I was going into it, I was thinking, oh, great, it was all over Facebook. People were sharing the images of Pennywise. I'm like, I don't know about the design. Then the trailer came out in teasers, and you heard his voice. I'm like, I don't know about that. And I was not very happy about the readaptation because I call it a remake. People are like, it's not really a remake. It's a readaptation of the book, which I understand. He had to split. But It Chapter 1 surprised me. I went into the theater to watch it, and I was like, man, this is going to suck. And originally, I wasn't going to see it in theaters because I didn't want to. But these people, basically friends and stuff like that, they were all like, hey, we're going to go watch it. You want to come with us? And I was like, sure, I'll come with you guys. And pretty much went and seen it with them. And I'll be honest, man, It Chapter 1 was really impressive. I actually really got surprised by it. So not all mainstream horror is bad. There's actually quite a few of them that I actually enjoy. Like, I really enjoyed Your Next. It's a great one. The Purge, I really enjoy. Sinister, I really enjoy. As Above, So Below. I thought 47 Meters Down, the first one was pretty decent. So not all of them are terrible, but my problem with mainstream horror splits into many different directions. First of all, there seems to be this high focus on making every single horror film like Insidious and Conjuring. And that's why I don't watch Insidious. Even though I love the first Insidious and I love Conjuring 2, I don't watch them that much because it's the formula that's been around since 2010, guys. It's not a new formula. Insidious 1 came out in 2010, 10 years ago, and there's still movies being made like it. Any people are like, well, it's more like Conjuring. Conjuring came out in 2013, dude. That's still a long time ago, and we're still getting movies like them. And what do I mean by that? Jump scares galore, PG-13 ratings, even though Conjuring was rated R, but let's be honest, it didn't feel like a rated R movie. It felt like a PG-13 movie, but either rated R or PG-13 with CGI ghosts, with an investigation, Ouija boards, possessed dolls, possessed people. What else do they do? Demons, ghost demons, haunted objects. Just all these just generic tropes. And you got movies like Ouija and movies like The Gallows, which really isn't PG-13 and stuff, but that's just a really generic horror film. But stuff like, I don't know, like The Forest, same thing, but Ouija is a very strong example of that. And in my opinion, there's this one called The Woman in Black. I didn't really like it. I liked Daniel Radcliffe in the movie. I mean, the acting was good, but the movie was boring. It was just dull and boring. And I'm tired of these newer horror films nowadays having that dull gray blue tint that makes the movies look horrible. And JG says he really enjoyed Dr. Sleep. I haven't seen that one yet, actually. I yet to see that movie. I have not seen it yet, but I've heard good things about it. And I don't judge these movies before I see them. You know, I always go into movies fairly. And that's why, even though I made a video about the Bye Bye Man, because the Bye Bye Man looks like garbage. I'm sorry. It looked like garbage from the trailers, from the posters, from the reviews I've seen, the scenes I've seen look like garbage. But I said it looks like garbage, not it is garbage. I'm not going sit here and say the movie's garbage because I haven't seen it yet. But I'm just tired of these ones I have seen, these mainstream horror films where they've got to have the pristine teen cast, people who, you know, have like models and, you know, the most, like I said, pristine teens and horror. And they got to have the generic tropes. They got to have generic looking, atmospheres, that gray blue tint look that I don't like. A lot of them are PG-13, so you're not going to get no gore, not going to get no blood, not going to get any of that stuff. And there's that new one, Black Christmas, which was a PG-13 slasher film. It's like Prom Night. You make a slasher movie PG-13? Does that make any sense? Like, what is a slasher movie? It's going to have what? Blood, some boobs, some mayhem, some good gore effects. It's going to have some crazy scenes. It's going to have some teens doing drugs and drinking beer and partying. That's what a slasher film is. And when you're making it PG-13, well, they can't have too much beer and weed and stuff. You can't cuss too much. You can't have too much nudity. You can't have too much blood. You can't have gore. So it's like, what is the point of making a slasher film PG-13? That completely makes it pointless. Because the point of watching a slasher movie is to see the gore and the effects and the practicality of it and seeing the imagination of the kills and seeing these characters get knocked off one by one and having fun with the movie, having fun with the effects, with all the elements that's in the movie. And you take that out and you still call it a slasher film, in reality, you're just trying to make it a hollow shell of a slasher film. So that's why Prom Night sucks so much. And even though Prom Night isn't really a newer horror film because it came out a while ago, like 2008, but it's still like Black Christmas, the new one. First of all, I'm not going to judge it before I see it, but I heard it was an agenda fest. And what do I mean by that? And that's another thing I'm tired of. Is that, look, if you want to put a message in your movie, that's fine. Look, I'm all for equality. I'm all for, no matter, who you are, what your race, religion, whatever, your gender, preferences. I'm for equality. Don't get me wrong. You know, but when you have to shove it in movies and like where it affects the plot, it's like, dude, we get it. We get it that this is what your message is, but you're shoving it down our throats. And I've seen plenty of movies nowadays, even outside of horror movies, that want to shove this stuff in your face and force feed you this message and punch it in your face and down your throat and be it right there. Here's our message. And it's like a good example of it. And again, if you're a fan of this movie, that's totally fine. I don't hate it. I think it's a decent, fun time. But one of the things that annoyed me about Halloween 2018 was that all the guys in the movie became assholes like that. They had no reason to become assholes. They had no signs. They had no reasons. They had no right reason to just become assholes like that. One guy is a jokester guy, and then the next minute he's a creep out of nowhere. Why? I don't know. He just went to become a creep guy for some reason. One guy is his boyfriend who is respectful to the parents and treats his girlfriend good. Next moment he's cheating on her and dropping the phone in some nacho cheese sauce and saying screw everything. Like, why? Why? I don't get it. Like, what? It's just so obvious why that was done. Because see, these male characters are just so horrible. See how male characters are just terrible. I'm tired of that. And like the same thing about Ghostbusters. I didn't see Ghostbusters 2016, but I've heard the same thing with that movie. They make all the male characters dumb and assholes and dumbasses, and then everything else is fine. But they make all the male characters dumbasses. I've just seen that, and I don't want to get too much into it because whatever. But I don't I don't like how even horror films nowadays get influenced by these, like, they got shoved these messages down your throat. and it gets in the way of the movie. It really does. So I get tired of that. There's just an overabundance of just generic horror nowadays in the mainstream. In the mainstream, a lot of it is just, hey, let's remake that. Let's redo this. Let's reboot this, even though it's all like 99.9% the same as the original movie. But we're gonna call it a reboot anyway, so we're gonna release reboot, this reboot. We're gonna have this sequel. We're gonna have this prequel. I'm just tired of it in horror, And I'm also tired of these expanded universes, man. Look, Conjuring Universe is one thing. Conjuring Universe is one thing. That did its thing. It was the first one to do it. It's whatever. I don't care. It was the first one to do the whole universe thing. But what I hate is that nowadays a lot of the mainstream horror films that I have that this expanded universe, this universe that is where it's a giant franchise and everything is connected and everything is the same and where everything is connected. Like why? Why? Why does everything nowadays have to be this giant franchise or giant universe or a trilogy or a quadrilogy or any of that stuff? Like, I'm tired of that too in mainstream horror. And like I said, I don't mean to sound so negative about mainstream horror. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative, but a lot of horror films nowadays that come out in the theater suffer from the same problems. They're either PG-13 dog crap with just plain characters and plain scripts and plain everything, generic bleh, or they're just reboots and remakes and long lost sequels and long lost prequels, and I'm tired of it, man. It's just like overkill at this point. But I will say there are some movies that I enjoy, like It Chapter One. I feel is a very very strong horror film. Um, like I said, even the ones that do kind of fall in that category of being another Conjuring movie or being another supernatural movie, like Sinister. I really enjoy Sinister, a big fan of it. And even though your movie can be, I guess, not the most exciting movie ever, I feel like I don't know, man. I feel like it's just the way you do it, man. If you're gonna do a lot of stuff, you're gonna have it be PG-13, everything like that, and have no gore. I'm not saying everything has to have gore because I know it's not realistic. I mean, not everything can have gore, and not every movie can be this gory gore fest. But if it's PG-13, at least make it watchable or put some effort into it. And I'm very lenient on horror films. I really am. I'm very lenient on horror films, and um, I'm very I try to give movies a chance. Every movie that I watch. And that's why if I do a rant on a movie, no, it's bad. Because I give movies a chance. I don't care how hyped they are. I don't care how unhyped they are. I don't care if it has the most hate, the most love. I go into every single movie that I watch from my own opinion. And so if it's bad, no, it's bad. If it's good, then no, it's good. I watched it and I really gave my honest opinion on it. But also, it's all subjective. I mean, you may watch a movie and I don't like it, or you may like it, and then you may watch a movie that I love and think it's okay or not very good. I mean, that's just how opinions are. But it's if you're gonna make it PG-13 and make it be this another Conjuring movie, at least make it to where it's entertaining. You're still engaged in it. Um, Maybe make it more fun, if that makes any sense. Um, Sorry, I just was what's going on here? Oops, sorry guys. Sorry about that, guys. I was just trying to read the comments on my phone real quick, but it took me out. But JG posted something. I think studios try too hard to make a vast universe, but instantly shrink it by trying to connect the narratives, having an adverse effect. I agree, because when you expand the universe like that, in your mind, you're thinking, okay, so how does this equal this? How does this movie's events link to this? And if it is, then how do they exist at the same time? And how are you going to tie it all together? You know, and it works in some ways. Like it works in some ways. Some ways it does work. Like the Conjuring universe feels like it's part of the same thing. But when you're making something like they want to make people were saying how they was wanting a Joker universe. I'm just like, dude, at that point, I know they want to make a sequel, but Joker is just one of those movies that I think you cannot touch. Like The Exorcist, no matter how hard you try, you cannot touch it, dude. It's just let it be. They made Exorcist, even though I do love Exorcist 3 a lot. I love that Exorcist 3 is one of my favorite sequels of all time. I love Exorcist 3. But you still have Exorcist 2. You still have Exorcist 4, which isn't really that bad, but still, you're never going to be able to top those kind of movies, you know? But they want to make a Joker universe. They want to make these, as far as horror goes, they want to make this universe where, oh, it's an idea for all these slashers to have throughout the universe. Like, dude, I don't like the universe idea. It's being overused so much. Um, I'm tired of the whole universe thing. And it's just getting old. It's getting old real fast. I think a lot of modern horror directors should take notes from some of the Italian and foreign directors in the 70s. Um, and in my Q&A, I said those are some of my most underrated horror film directors. Yeah, man, like that's the thing. They created a very unique film. Whenever film they worked on, they made it unique and they made a very unique vision. And I think also back then, it wasn't so much about because I understand. Hey, Play is here. How you doing, Play? Welcome to the stream. But back then, it just didn't feel like it was all about trying to stick to one formula for as long as. I mean, the one thing I could think about is slasher films, because when slasher films came out, almost all of them were the same. If you think about it, they were the same formula. But then at the same time, it's like back then, more movies that made the theaters got chances. You know, um, it's like what I mean by that is Star Wars, for a good example. Not a horror movie, but it's the best one I can think of for right now. Or Halloween. What it was these producers said, okay, I'm going to give you this money. I'm going to let you make this movie. I'm going to let you do your vision for this low budget. I'm going to have you go out there and make your movie, and we're going to try and sell it. And it's original script, original idea, original concept, and making it happen. And what happened? Star Wars and Halloween were gambles. And they won. They were good gambles. You know, Halloween made $70 million, and then I forget. I think Star Wars made like what, over 100 million, something like. It was a lot of money from Star Wars, and they were able to just go out there and make these new movies. But nowadays, it's all about, all right, so we're gonna make it PG-13, put some ghosts in there, put some teens in there, make it be hip. Um, and like that's the thing about Blumhouse too, is that Blumhouse, some of their movies I love, like Creep, love Creep. I like Halloween 2018. But they do this thing where most of their studio release movies is just the same thing, rinse repeat. Countdown looks and feels like Truth or Dare. It does. I cannot tell between those two movies, except for, oh, well, one's about Truth or Dare, one's about this countdown to your death. Besides that, they look and seem and sound the same. Some I don't care if they are rated R or not. Some PG-13 looking bland cast with like they look the same, the absolute same. They really do. And I've been rambling so much. Um, sorry, JG, I didn't get your comment yet. If you look at Stephen King's book, they all go to the same universe, sometimes different realities, but they also stand alone in their own stories. Yeah, they don't interfere with each other. They don't. The stories don't leak into each other to where you're going, hey, why is Christine the car in this Carrie story, and Carrie is in the background of The Shining, and you're like, wonder what Carrie's doing there. Like it's not like it's like that. It's like they keep it. Stephen King kept it relatively simple and together. You know what I mean? It's because they connected doesn't does just because they're connected doesn't mean that the crossover. Exactly, I agree. Just don't they exist in the same way it's not for me. I agree. It's like subtlety. If you're subtle about it, it works. You don't have to make every single film a crossover. Um, it's funny. There are two Exorcist prequels from the span of 1 year. There's actually a reason for that. It's because when Exorcist 4 came out, two people wanted to make it, and the studio said, "All right, since you both want to make this movie, I think this is how it was." The studio said, "All right, you go make your movie, and you go make your movie," and I think that's how it went, or maybe not because the same actors in both of them. I think I think the original version was made first. Like I think Dominion was made first, and the studio said no, and they got Rennie Holland and made Exorcist for the beginning, and they released that, and then Dominion kind of just I think sat around for a while. And they finally just said, "All right, we're gonna release it on DVD and stuff." Like I don't remember the full story behind those movies. I wonder if studios realize that there is 5 movies in the Exorcist series. They already have a good title if they make a sixth one. The Exorcist 666, right? Remember the Omen 2006? 666. Uh, and I mean, I understand it. It's like, well, studios from the beginning of time have always been trying to make money. I understand this. I mean, hell, point in case of slasher films. But again, if you're gonna make these movies, make them entertaining. Have fun with the movies. Don't make them so dull and boring and slow. Like make them inspired. Don't just crap these movies out and just for money, because that's all it is for the money. I mean, there's been plenty of examples of that. The Wolfman, again, a movie with a dull blue gray look to it. It's rated R. It's pretty gory, but it has bad CGI. In my opinion, a bad cast. I mean, a few people I don't mind. There's good actors in there, but like the cast itself is good, but I feel like the dialogue and the script is just what ruined that movie. And it was a boring movie, really, really slow. But yeah, what JG says, they're the essentially different cuts. But Rennie Holland made the original cut, and then another director made his own cut. So yeah, basically just the two alternate versions of the Exorcist 4. But um, with mainstream horror, I mean, at least it's still keeping horror alive, and we're getting horror movies out there, and we do get a few good ones, like in my opinion, Evil Dead 2013. Yeah, it's not as good as the original movie, and yeah, it's not as good as Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness, but I still feel like it's a pretty good movie because it was gory, it was effective, it was intense. I really enjoyed it. Cabin in the Woods, same thing. Sinister, The Purge. I can get into mainstream horror. It's just hard because they're essentially the same things over and over again. It's ghost stories and spooky stories, PG-13 movies, and Ouija boards and possession movies. And like I've seen The Nun. I've seen The Nun in theaters. Um, I remember I went and seen it in theaters, and I'll be honest, man, The Nun is pretty rough to get through. It's just a lot of CGI and pretty much all the generic things in the book. Possessed, a possessed kid getting an exorcist performed, which is from The Exorcist. This possessed kid. which has been done in like 1,000 horror movies, possessed people and children, like possessed children and possessed people. It's been done in like 1,000 horror films. Jump scares and CGI and all that stuff, and I just didn't dig it, man. I was just like, man, this is rough. But yeah, I mean, as far as mainstream horror goes, I mean, I'll always have faith for it because there is stuff that comes out that surprises me, like Unfriended, which is a really surprising movie to me that I actually really liked. Um, and not every movie has to be good. Like, I understand reality of it is that not every movie has to be good. I understand that, but um, I I just wish they weren't so cookie cutter, man. So manufactured. It's just like this plain manufactured stuff. It's just like, and what I mean by that, it's hard to explain. What I mean by that is it's such a formula anymore. It's a formula. And it's been a formula for 10 years. And it's like, at this point, slasher films didn't last 10 years long. They died out by like 85, 86, and that was when we started getting to newer like comedy horror stuff, horror with humor and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'll always have high hopes for newer mainstream horror. But I just wish it wasn't so, you know, how it is. How it is. Um, Play says, what horror film would you want to remake? For me, it's to remake Todd Browning's Freaks. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's good. I actually seen that movie. It's great. It's wonderful. Um, I don't know if I would remake it. I mean, it's still pretty good. Um, like really good. I loved that movie a lot. I don't think you got to remake it. I mean, maybe for like color and stuff, like the, you know, make it in color and have more. Actually, if you think about it, we did get a remake. It was American Horror Story season 4. That's more of a Freaks movie. If you want to see Freaks nowadays, just watch season 4 of American Horror Story. It's pretty much Freaks the remake. But yeah, um, hmm, what would I remake? Even though I do like Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, I feel like it's a movie that probably would deserve a remake because it's a little bit more of a rougher horror film. Um, mm, yeah, I'm gonna say Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things because it's a good movie, but it's really rough. So the remake could really touch upon it. It's funny how Woman in Black was made by Hammer Horror. Yeah, I know that's crazy, right? I personally believe mainstream horror mostly shines in a serious format, i.e., Netflix, Hulu, and Shudder, and etc. Yeah, dude. Actually, Netflix horror movies are pretty solid. I mean, I haven't really seen a bad. I seen one real awful, real bad one called um, "The House of the Witch" or something like that, or the Witch. Is it the House of the Witch? Dude, it is so bad, so bad. It's like horribly bad. Really generic. Really, really generic. Freaks was groundbreaking. It was so shocking for its time. What is your least favorite horror director that made an amazing horror film? My least favorite horror director that made a good movie. Well, I hate Victor Salva. Victor Salva is horrible. Is a horrible person. I do not like Victor Salva at all. Not a fan of him at all. No respect for him because of what he did. But the movies, the Jeepers Creepers films as films, which people want to say, well, if you like Jeepers Creepers, then you're supporting Victor Salva. No, 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 no. Victor Salva didn't make the whole movies by himself. There were writers, which I think was him actually. There was the actors. There was the effects people. There was the cast. There was the crew. there was the producers, there was all these people that worked with Jeepers Creepers. So I don't look at the movies and go, "Well, I hate them because of Dressala." No, I like the movies. I love the first two Jeepers Creepers movies, but I have no respect for Dressala. Horrible person, terrible person. So that's the example of that. How do you see streaming services do a TV was how do you see streaming services though as a TV though it, as TV was in the 50s, people wanted to stay at home rather than go to the theater. Streaming is taking over because it's convenient. I mean, paid $9 for Netflix and you have your movies for the month. And plus digital download. I mean, the only reason why I collect physical copies is because what are you gonna do if you have no internet? You can't access your movies. So if like the internet goes out, you can't watch any movies. Well, if you have physical copies, you can watch them anytime you want, as long as you have a DVD player or Blu-ray player. So that's why I personally keep. And then plus, I actually want to own movies, like own the movies, like physical copy of the movies, because some of them you're not going to see on the streaming services, like even Shudder. Some movies you're not going to see on there. The really rare ones, the ones that nobody talks about, like Basket Case. You're not going to see that on Netflix somewhere. And if you do, I'll be surprised. But Dead Alive, you're not going to see Dead Alive on Netflix. I wish, but you're not going to see Dead Alive or Show and Show and Play with Dead Things or I think I Spilled in Your Grave was on Netflix if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, streaming's taking over. It's just convenient. But I keep physical copies of movies myself. It's too bad it was centered down to just 60 minutes, but it's still great. Oh yeah, it was censored. That's right. A remake of Troll. That's understandable. That's understandable. What is the worst horror film that was in black and white from what you can remember? The worst? The worst. I don't remember hating any black and white movies. They were all pretty good so far. Um, I don't know. I can't think. Begotten. I've seen Begotten, and people was like, it's disturbing, it's grimy, it's gritty, it's groundbreaking, it's an hideous movie, it's a powerful film. I've seen Begotten, and Begotten was boring, and I couldn't tell what was going on. And it's like an hour and 30 minutes of you can't tell what's going on, weird noises, weird stuff going on, no dialogue. There's no action. There's no dialogue. There's nothing going on. It's just it's an art house movie. People are like, well, it's not supposed to be like that. I'm like, well, then what's the? I don't. There are fans of Begotten, and if you are, it's fine. I just when I watched it, I didn't feel uncomfortable. I didn't get disturbed. I didn't, and I get what the movie is about. The movie is about like pretty much a retelling of this mother who was spitting out, and then she gives birth to this her son, and they bury the child and stuff. It's like an artistic telling of like Mother Earth and stuff like that, and gods and stuff. I didn't care. It sucked. Sorry, I'm sorry. It sucked. Begotten is begoat. Begotten is forgotten by me. I don't remember that movie. It's just I didn't care for it. It was boring. Again, if you like it, but if you like it, that's fine. I'm not a big fan of Begotten. Um, but as far as indie horror goes, indie horror is what I love. I love indie horror, and even indie horror movies nowadays get this reputation of being pretentious and being slow. Nothing happens. They're boring movies. I think it's because they're more. It's not about the jump scares every 5 seconds and showing massive, massive, massive gore and showing you all this fast-paced editing, all this fast-paced stuff. I've noticed a lot of indie movies. Um, they're very slow-paced. They're very emotional and deep, and they focus more on real horror. and I get into that, and I love, dude. I would say, my favorite type of horror is psychological horror. I absolutely love psychological horror. It is my favorite subgenre of horror because it's just the most scary to me. Like, if I really think about it, psychological horror scared me more than a lot of other horror. Um, because it's more about mind games, more about playing with your mind and the audience's mind expectations. I love psychological horror a lot. Um, and a lot of indie movies are like that. They're psychological. Movies like Us, movies like Hereditary, movies like The Witch and the Lighthouse. Even though I haven't seen the Lighthouse, You're Next, which really is more of a slasher movie. If you think about it, um, more like slasher home invasion type movie. But I love psychological horror, dude. It's just one of my favorite types of horror. Jacob's Ladder, dude, great one. Love Jacob's. The Shining, of course. But indie horror nowadays, like the Babadook, stuff like that, I really do dig um, newer horror a lot, like indie horror. The Witch is one of my favorite films from this decade. So is It Follows. Maniac is a good one, which is a little bit psychological slasher film, POV horror film. Um, but I think what indies do right is they're able to get their good casts. They're able to be different. Chuck, what's up? How you doing, man? How you doing, Chuck? Welcome to the stream. Um, Up at the party. JG says, "I don't mind a slow pace as long as the payoff is good." I agree. If it's a lame payoff, and that sucks. But I was talking to some friends the other day, and I was telling them about Hereditary, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but to me, Hereditary, the way that it ended, was one of the very few horror films that was just like I was sitting there, and my reaction was like just like I sat there. It was like Inside or Martyrs or Cannibal Holocaust or The Shining. These movies that will just kind of leave you there like this. And you're just like, what the fuck? And I will admit, man, Hereditary left me that way. And I mean, it has problems. Hereditary isn't perfect, but I think for what it is, it's a solid movie. Um, Play says, "What film felt like horror that wasn't supposed to be horror?" Hmm. Hmm. Good question. Good question. Sorry, man. I'll come back to it. I'm gonna think about it for a second because man, that's a good question. Good question, Play. Good. That's good. I'm doing great. Doing great, man. Hereditary is kind of horror movie modern filmmakers should take lessons from. I agree. It's a very subtle movie. It's a lot more psychological, and I really enjoyed it. Um, but indie horror, what I also like is they tend to have better. Like, if you ever notice this too, they're shot better than mainstream horror. If you think about it, like mainstream horror now is like this bleak gray look that I've pointed out before. Whereas indie horror has a lot of beautiful shots, wonderful atmosphere, great camera work, well done direction. Visually, a lot of them look fantastic. I think also they handle characters a lot more better. Like in The Witch, the biggest part of that movie that made it so effective was the characters and their interactions and the reactions. It just made you buy it 100%. It follows the same thing where it's like, dude, you buy it, these characters, you buy the atmosphere, also the music. The music in most of indie horror is fantastic. The Witch and Follows, Hereditary, um, Us. I really enjoyed that movie score. Get Out. I enjoyed that movie score. You're Next. I really enjoyed that movie score. Um, and you know, they're able to tap into more real life horrors and make it more effective and creepy and uncomfortable and I dig that stuff, man. I dig how they're able to make you like these characters and feel bad for them, and um, also make it to where it's beautiful to look at. You know, they're well shot, they're well acted, their scores are very well done. That's what has been a really good part about indie horror as well. So I'm a huge fan of indie horror. Love Your Next, VHS 2, the Ace of Death films. Um, Big fan of um, Maniac. Big fan of It Follows. I mean, you just name the Babadook. I really enjoyed. Um, I want to see Midsummer. So if it's good, if anybody out there's seen Midsummer, let me know is it good or not because I know the guy who made Hereditary made that movie. Haven't seen it yet, but I've heard straight out split down the middle reactions to that movie. But yeah, I mean that's just the thing that I look forward to the most with indie horror. And I get it. It's like, well, then indie horror has become the same thing where it's copying each other. Yeah, like I said, slashers did that. Neo slashers did that. Um, the gritty, grimy 2000s movies did that. But that's not the main problem. The main problem is they continue to copy each other and be bad. You know, they continue to copy each other and not be very good. And that's my main issue with that is that they continue to do it and not be very good. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I gotta say for this stream. Just really enjoy horror movies now, like newer horror. I try to always enter things with a positive mindset, and you know, one of the great things about being a horror fan also is that you're able to explore the new stuff. It's a new era, you know. It's newer things. You got to be open minded to these things. You got to be able to just take them for what they are. You know, they're not going to be these amazing. They're not going to be these movies that you know you can compare to stuff like The Shining and Halloween and these other horror films. But I think you can come to appreciate what they are. You know, they're all very unique, and even the ones I'm not a fan of, I still respect them being unique and stuff like that. And yeah, yeah. I mean, overall, I think that you know, indie horror, um, and then horror in general, mainstream, whatever, the new horror stuff, it's interesting. It's very interesting, but that's all for right now. I had to get this stuff off my chest. I figured talk about it in the stream, have some fun. Um, First of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a blast. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the stream, interacting with it, and commenting and chatting. It's been amazing. It's been fun. And I want to say thank you guys so much for that. I really, really appreciate that. But yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys with the stream. Like I said, I'm optimistic that where horror is going. You know, and I really hope that it's gonna get better. I hope it gets improved. You know, and I'm always gonna have fun with the movies. I'm always gonna have fun. I'm gonna try and go in there and have as much fun as possible with these movies. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna shut the stream. All right, guys. I don't know if you guys can see me or not, but anyway, I wanted to say have a good night, and thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thank you so much for watching, and the Explorer 4 is out. You guys have a good night.